Hi, this is Amber Matusik with Art2Ride, and I am here with you today with Casino. I did a video with Casino last year, so I wanted to do an update. This horse is a draft mix gelding. I believe he's around 16 or 17 years old, and he's I work him 2 days a week, and then he usually gets out a third day every once in a while, 4 days, but so not a lot and not super consistent. I mean, it's consistent, but it's just not very much. So I start here with a little bit of work in hand, and he does, I feel like, pretty well with the work in hand. He stretches really nicely in the first direction, and I've just changed directions here. This way is a little harder to get him to stretch in the work in hand, but not horrible. And you can see he has a little trip there, gets excited, trots, so I'm not going to make a big deal about that. Just go back to the walk, letting him move out and relax here. Just trying to establish a little relaxation here in the beginning. Now, this horse started out pretty hollow, and if you look behind the saddle, you can see that he's still working on coming up, his back coming up. I do feel like he has made some progress, even though his work is not very often. I think his back has come up some in the last year, and will be coming up more as we go along. He's also changed. He is a lot more relaxed than he used to be, and he stretches a little bit better. Last year I did use the sham bone, and we've been able to move him out of the sham bone and just have the side reins and still get pretty decent stretching on the lunge line, and almost a little easier when he's under saddle. But here we go on the lunge line. You can see he starts out a little bit up and not as deep of a stretch as you would like to see. But there are moments where he really relaxes and lets go all of the way. And you can see like he definitely looks better when his nose is all the way on the ground. Although the rhythm here is not too bad even when he brings his head up. And I usually just do, one canter transition on the lunge line to help. It does seem to help his trot quality. And it also just lets me know where he's at that day. If he has a big explosion, then I know that he's a little more up. If he's nice and calm, then I know that's, like he doesn't need as much in the way of lunging. And because we work him less often, his stamina is fairly low. So I like to, keep it short because he will wear out very quickly and then not have anything left. Now that first direction in the lunge line I think is a little bit better. I do the direction that I feel like he's able to stretch and relax a little better first. And the second direction we are still working on having him being a little more relaxed and a little more stretched out. And he definitely just tends to be a little more tense in this direction for some reason. So we're getting a few moments here, not quite as relaxed yet as the other way or deep of a stretch. And in this direction I will bring him in on a little smaller of a circle sometimes, which I do feel like helps, push the haunches out and get a little bit more of a stretch. And I think I will be trying, I try one canter transition in this direction as well, just to see if it helps the trot and Again, just to see where his mind is at. You can see that the canter for him is still very difficult, and he doesn't always pick up the correct lead. Sometimes he gets the wrong lead behind, and a lot of that is just strength. And believe it or not, this is actually a lot better than it used to be. I mean, he used to always bolt off in the canter when you would ask for the canter, and now he is able to often just pick it up nice and quietly and actually get the correct lead, although it still looks not very connected when he picks it up. And I think over time, as his back comes up, all of that is going to improve, just as it has been already. It's just a slow improvement because of the number of times we're able to get him out. So here I get a little bit nicer. You can see that even though he's not always down in the full stretch, the rhythm is better, the relaxation is better, and I just go ahead and bring him down to the walk here, and I'm trying to get a little bit better of a stretch here in the walk to end this, because I know that if I keep going on the lunge line for too much longer, I'm not going to have very much horse to work with when I get on. As I said, he's not have a lot of stamina, and I don't know. I've seen this, with the draft. With the draft mixes, it's just a little harder for them to build up the stamina in the same kind of way. So anyway, he's trying to figure this out here, and that's a little better there. He's really stretched out, give me a little deeper stretch, nicer walk. And so as soon as I get this, for a short bit here, I'm going to be done with that. So anyway, starting out here in the walk, it's interesting. He feels extremely sticky at the walk, and it's very hard for him to really push off and move forward. But the trot usually feels quite forward, and that even though I'm still working on making my leg look like it's quiet, I don't feel like I am squeezing very much. It's he really just kind of goes at the trot until he's done, and then he stops. But at the walk, I'm still really working on getting that activity at the walk. And so here it's not bad. I feel like, there's definitely room for improvement. I'm working on, I do a little bit of lateral work, a little bit of leg yields. That's not his super strong point, but they definitely help him get that inside hind underneath him and help encourage him to stretch a little bit deeper. And I'm fairly happy with the quality of this walk for him. Like I said, I feel like it could get a little more active. Right there, I gave him a little tap, trying to just get a little more activity. And I got just a little kick out there, so no big deal. Just going back to letting him stretch out here. And get that relaxation again. Try to get as much swing as I can. So I think if you go back and you look at his other video from a year ago, you'll see, the small improvements that I was talking about, like a slightly better walk, slightly more active, a little more lift. And I do feel like his back, if you look behind the saddle, is coming up just a little bit. So like I said, I'm very happy with that, and I'm hoping that in the next year we might be able to find someone who's interested in maybe leasing him or something, and just getting him out a little more often, because I think this is a horse that if he's getting the more regular he could get out, is going to make a big difference with him. It will really help improve his stamina. So pretty active here for him at the walk. this does take I'm working hard to not try to nag him to keep the forward walk, which is a little difficult for both of us. So we're working on that. I'd like him to maintain, his active forward step without a lot of support from me. And we're working on some leg yields here. I let him lead quite a bit with the shoulder. As I said before, these are a little bit difficult for him. And then when he went ahead and broke into the trot, I think I just decided, let him go forward. And then as I said, here in the trot, I am still working on me and like trying to be a little quieter with my leg. But I'm really actually not pushing him at all with my leg. I'm not like it looks like I am, but I'm not squeezing very hard at all. He's quite good at maintaining that forward swing once he gets going. And then I'm just trying to maintain a nice steady contact with his mouth. So he does move his head around a little. He doesn't quite stay in a consistent stretch. Like if you just throw the reins away, his head will come up. So you do have to really keep a nice steady contact in the corner of his mouth. So you will see my hands moving around a little bit just to do this. And at times I am trying to, do less and see if he's just going to maintain that on his own. And here I'm trying just a little leg yield at the trot. And that was pretty good for him, I think. Again, I let him, lead a little with the shoulder. Lateral work is not the easiest thing for these big, kind of bulkier, long horses. He's not that tall, but he's really a big bodied horse, and he has a lot of length to him. So, build wise, he has some things going against him. He's also just a little bit, toe in, I think, in the front here, which, like, sometimes he gets a little fumbly with his front feet, I think, related to that. But here we tried a little more leg yields and just trying to keep him all the way down. Now, eventually, I would really like to see him poke out more with the nose. And I am sometimes able to get a lot more of that towards the end of my ride. But as I said before, when I just, like, if I let go of the reins at all to try to let him poke his nose out, usually his head will just pop straight up. So I do have to really work hard to keep that, that steady connection. So he stopped to have a poop there. That's when the video stopped, and then just kept going again. So pretty happy with the activity in the trot. I think that, as I said, what I'm really looking for is steadier connection and deeper stretch with a little more poke and push out through the nose and neck. And on myself, a little quieter with my leg, and eventually, hopefully I'll be able to also be quite a bit quieter with my hands. Now, one thing I do play around with a little bit with this horse are just a few moments of sitting the trot. And even though he doesn't look like his back is, super strong at this point, sometimes it is actually easier to get the stretch or to keep the stretch in the sitting trot. And I think that's just because I have a little more contact with him, with my leg, with my seat. And then I do usually try like a canter transition while I'm riding him in both directions. Now, he didn't get the right lead that time, which he's actually been doing really well with recently. So, but this is the direction that used to be the most difficult for him. So, anyway, I'm going to come back and try it until I still having a hard time with that today, for some reason, particularly on this day, he is, having a harder time. So I just try to get him back to the relaxation here before I ask again for that. And this time I do get the lead. You can see that the canter quality still has a lot to be improved. It's like it's starting to connect, but it's not really connecting that well. So we did this is a pretty small ring. So one loop around the ring is kind of just like one circle. And then usually that's about all he's got. But as I said, I do think it helps create energy, which is always nice, and really get him moving. The other thing that is really improved with this horse is the transitions down from those other gaits, the canter or the trot. He was a horse that really had a tendency to just throw the brakes on when you, so if you were cantering and you quit asking for the canter, he would just stop, like completely on the forehand and throw the brakes on. So that has really improved a lot, and he's been able to figure out that he can canter and then come back to a trot. And now I think you can see there's moments here where his nose pokes out a little nicer and he gets a little bit deeper in the stretch, and you can see how much nicer his legs swing when that happens. He really is able to swing and come through a lot better, and so I keep just looking for those moments where he can really just poke out. And now we change directions. Here's the canter in the other way. Same thing. Okay, not fabulous, not something I'm going to be doing lots of. You can see he's starting to want to be able to stretch in the canter. Eventually I'd like to see that, come even deeper and better. Now this wasn't the best ride I've ever had on him, but it was, I would say a good average ride. And then I do think that the trot really looks, nicer after the canter, like a little more lift, a little more push, definitely lots of energy coming through. Even if he wanted to slow down just a hair and let that energy be a slower, deeper push instead of, quite as much forward, I would allow that. But sometimes if you let him slow, I try it, and he'll throw on the brake. So you have to kind of balance that energy, forward ratio and just kind of get what you can. And here it's starting to get a lot nicer. I feel like his nose is getting straighter down. Still really nice swing, lots of forward. Again, could slow just a hair and, get a little more lift. And that will come over time and, more consistency. So I actually also feel like his stride has gotten a little longer over the last year. So that's one of the improvements I feel that we've made, one of the other improvements. So, and then you've also seen him trip a few times. Again, really toe in. We're working on our footing. It's a little inconsistent. There's, a definite rail, and then there's sort of a hump coming in. So, sometimes if I'm not, if I'm coming off the rail, that he runs into that little hump, and, so consistent footing, really important, and something that we're working on getting a little bit better of in the next few months here, hopefully. So. And again, here, really nice. He's starting to stretch out a little better. Still a little curled up, but moments of it, moments where he's stretching out a lot better. And so let him come back to the walk here. When he starts to get a little heavier on my leg, I know it's time to give him a break, and let him just kind of walk it out a little bit, because he just doesn't have the, still working on the stamina, still working on all that stuff. So, and coming back and having a really active walk is something really great for him to do, as I said, like the walk tends to be the hardest gait with him, like really getting the activity and the forward. It's not so hard in the other gaits. Like he wants to go forward in the other gaits, but in the walk he would really prefer to just not move forward. So, like I said, in general, really happy with this, and I hope that you guys can see a little improvement also. And thanks for watching. Again, this is Amber with Art2Ride.